What's up, YouTube? It's Gary Brown from 313 Hoops, and today we are back with another video. Last night, the Detroit Pistons took on the New York Knicks in Madison Square Garden for their first preseason game of this preseason. Before we get into recapping that, highlighting players, seeing what we saw in that game right there, if you haven't already, please hit that like button and then also subscribe to this YouTube channel as well. If you're interested in any type of Detroit Pistons talk, any type of Detroit Pistons coverage, because that's the type of stuff we're going to do here. And again, definitely leave a like because the support, that definitely helps out the channel, definitely helps grow the channel, with the more likes on these videos. All right, but let's get right into this. So the Detroit Pistons played the New York Knicks. Now, before we get really into talking about, what we saw in the game, I don't really care too much about the score of the game or anything like that. The Pistons lost, but honestly, it's preseason. Wins and losses don't really matter much, really. They really have no meaning here in the preseason. Basically, all you're really trying to do in the preseason is kind of fine-tune things, kind of, figure out what works for your team, run the plays. You're using all these plays, adding all these new people to your team from last year, and the guys that you picked up from the offseason, and you're facing, other NBA level competition. So you're just trying to see what works, where you guys are at against other NBA teams and stuff, how, your plays are running and all that. And, it's just a lot of figuring things out, building chemistry and all that. So, honestly, wins and losses in preseason, don't get too high on them, don't get too low on them, don't get too high on certain things that happen in the games, and then also don't get too low on the things, that happens in the games as well, because again, it's only preseason. You can start worrying about things, once you get to mid-season, and it's like, all right, this is a problem that we're having. But again, it's preseason. A lot of these teams are figuring things out. Actually, every team is basically figuring things out, in the preseason. So wins and losses didn't really matter too much. But we'll talk about what we saw in this game here. So the biggest thing with the Detroit Pistons, there's a lot of good, a lot of bad. But let's start with the bad. We'll finish up with some good. So one of the things that I noticed with the Pistons yesterday were the turnovers. So turnovers were atrocious yesterday. I get, the Pistons trying to move the ball around a lot. But what I noticed here is, there'd be a lot of times where the New York Knicks would just really be playing the passing lanes. Pistons would be doing some cross-court passes and stuff. Kind of, passes that really shouldn't have been made. You can kind of telegraph it really easily. And that's what the defense for the New York Knicks did. They capitalized on a lot of bad passes, a lot of bad cross-court passes. Again, they played the passing lanes, and by halftime, I want to say they had maybe like 8 steals or something like that. They had a high number of steals for their team, and that was a lot to do with all the bad passes. Now, even like when, a lot of the Pistons players would drive, to the paint, they'd do like a quick little bounce pass, or something in the paint, to another player. And, somebody from the New York Knicks would disrupt the pass, or the pass would get jumbled up and stuff. And so, it's a lot of, little sloppy mistakes right there for the Detroit Pistons. But again, like I was saying, like a lot of these players are trying to figure out how to play with one another. I know there was a play where Jaden Ivey was driving to the basket, and, there's a lot of times he was driving to the basket and he would do like an outlet pass. He'd pass out to somebody. On one of these plays in particular, I remember he was driving to the basket and he was going to pass to Isaiah Stewart once Stewart's defender pulled off of him. But when he went for the pass, it seemed as if Stewart really wasn't ready for the pass. He was, it kind of caught him off guard, with Ivy's speed and stuff. So that's something that they're going to need to adjust to, kind of get used to. Adding someone like Ivy, he plays a certain way. He plays at a very fast pace, very quick speed. So, for the Detroit Pistons, this is the time to kind of adjust to that. This is the time to kind of learn your players, learn the guys on your team, learn how they, how they work on the court and stuff like that. So, it's just little things like that they can definitely clean up. But definitely turnovers was one of the biggest things that was holding the Detroit Pistons back in this game. Just a lot of unnecessary passes that were going on. But I do like the fact that they're trying to move the ball. They're trying to keep everybody involved. And that also goes in with Kade Cunningham too. So with Kade Cunningham, I wasn't really looking at the box score or anything like that. But what I saw from Kade Cunningham was, he was getting a lot of good looks, a lot of open looks. He just wasn't hitting his shots. And, that's all right. His shot doesn't need to be draining right now. Just what I want to see from the Pistons is the fact that their plays are working. They're getting the ball to the right guy. They're hitting the open man and stuff. And, whenever Kade Cunningham, he made maybe 2 baskets. He missed a lot. But on the shots that he was missing, all the attempts that he was taking, he's getting good looks. He was getting in good position and stuff. And overall, they were making the right play. It's just the shots just weren't falling for him. And, that's something that, we'll look back at, in a few weeks or whatever, through the, beginning of the season. Hopefully, his shots are falling, everything's, clicking perfectly, because again, this is the first preseason game, and a lot of kinks that, you got to work out. But, while the shots weren't falling, Kade Cunningham was getting his teammates involved. He was making really good passes, to his teammates, getting them involved, getting them points, getting them on the board and all that, getting their reps in and all that. So, that's really cool to see, with Kade Cunningham, not letting, his missing shots just kind of dictate his game. He was getting involved in other ways. Who else do I want to talk about? Jalen Duren. So let's talk about Jalen Duren, 13th pick for the Detroit Pistons. So there's been a lot of questions on where he's going to find a spot on the team. Is he going to the G League? Is he going to be in a starting position? What is he going to be in the rotation? All these different questions about Jalen Duren. And yesterday, just after that first game, watching Jalen Duren, he is a monster. He is, his body is NBA ready. He is physically ready to be competing in the NBA. I believe he got 13 boards in 14 minutes, or 14 boards in 15 minutes. He was going absolutely crazy, playing for the Detroit Pistons, especially on the defensive end. Now, the defensive end, what I noticed was, it didn't matter who he was guarding. He stayed in front of his man, and he made enough of a presence to disrupt shots, kind of make it a lot harder for the guy taking shots and stuff. Whether it was on the perimeter, whether it was, down the post, he was defending really well, staying with this guy. And honestly, just watching that, he might be either the best or the second best defender on the team already. As a rookie coming in. And that's crazy because he's got so much potential at 19 years old. But again, first game of the preseason, we got to see how the other games go. But he is showing that he has the potential to do that type of stuff, at the NBA level, which is pretty cool. So defensively, Jalen Duren has a lot of promise, and I'm really looking forward to that. I do remember he did have a pretty big block. I want to say it was maybe in the second quarter. That was pretty cool. I think he only just had that one block, but he had a really big block, and that was following another event. So let's talk about Jaden Ivy. Now, Jaden Ivy was playing really good, but there was this one moment, I think it was either Julius Randle or it was Mitchell Robinson, who ended up blocking Jaden Ivy. Ivy, I think, was going for a layup. He got blocked, or he got the rebound. He tried to put the ball back up, and he got blocked so hard. He got sent right down to the court, down to the ground and all that. And it was dang, that might be Jaden Ivey's welcome to the NBA moment right there, with the veteran just blocking the hell out of him right there. So, but other than that, Ivy was playing really good. He was really using his speed to his advantage. Again, he would drive to the lane. He'd get some nice layups in. He had a fast break dunk too after a steal. And then again, he was making all these passes too, while driving and pulling defenders off of their man. And I think he got a few assists in there too as well, which is pretty cool. He had one to Kade Cunningham, so Kade and Jaden Ivey, that's going to be a really cool backcourt to see throughout the season. The explosiveness of Ivy is, it's really eye-catching. I really like it a lot. And I didn't really realize that Ivy had such finesse to his game, too. He's very explosive. There's a lot of times where he'd be going right to the basket, full speed, and then he just kind of switches up, makes it a little bit more finesse, on the finish and stuff. And that was really cool to see. So that's something he could definitely grow on and kind of build upon, as years go on, as the season goes on. And, I feel like that's definitely going to help out the Pistons quite a bit. I do want to talk about Bojan Bogdanovic too. He was very lethal from three. He definitely helped us out a lot. So when New York was getting on spurts where they're hitting three after three after three, Bojan Bogdanovic was able to, he'd answer back with his own three of his own, kind of keeping us, within distance until a certain point in the game. But Bojan Bogdanovic definitely made some pretty good plays for himself, and then even on some catch and shoot too as well, out there on the perimeter, and that definitely helped out the Pistons here. And it looks really good. I could see him being the team's leading scorer this season too as well. So having him on the 3-point line, just him being able to create his own shot, the way that he was, I definitely can see him being the leading scorer of this team. If not, he's definitely going to be a top 3 leading scorer on this team. So that's going to be pretty cool to see for him. Isaiah Stewart, I want to say he maybe took 2 3-point shots. He did have one early on where he made it, and then another one that he missed, but I don't know if he took any more after that. But overall, I want to see what else they're going to do with Isaiah Stewart and see how well that 3-point shot is. If he did go 1 for 2 like I'm thinking, then he did go 50%, but I do want a bigger sample size. So we're going to keep monitoring that and see how that goes. But overall, realistically, this team did really well. I do want to highlight Killian Hayes, who played really aggressive out there. He was going after some. He was going for buckets and stuff, and trying to really keep himself engaged in the offense, which was cool to see. So we want to definitely have Killian improve on that, continue to showcase that, and continue to be as aggressive on the offensive end like he was yesterday. But I think that's all I really want to talk about with this team right here for the game. So that's basically the recap for the New York Knicks versus the Pistons in the first preseason game for this 2022 preseason. If you guys have anything that you guys noticed in the game that you guys want to talk about, you want to comment about, comment down below. I do also want to start doing something during the season where, I have a player of the week, a Detroit Pistons player of the week, and just kind of highlight who the best player of the week was. Today, I do want to highlight Jaden Ivey and Jalen Duren for their performance yesterday, being the rookies coming in and, putting up a pretty good game for their first preseason game together. So, just highlighting those guys. But again, during the season, we'll do like a player of the week type thing for the Detroit Pistons every single week. Just to kind of highlight those guys and see who's the best player of the week every single week and stuff. So, but yeah, comment down below what you guys thought, who you guys want to highlight, and who you think did really well in the game yesterday against the Knicks. They'll be back on Friday. I forget who they're playing on Friday. I want to say it might be. I think it's like another lottery team. It might be OKC, I think, on Friday. On Friday. So I'll have a video up probably Saturday, Sunday morning, something like that, kind of recapping that as well. The preseason here, so we're going to get a lot of content coming out, guys. But anyways, thanks for watching. Please comment, like, and subscribe. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.